pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we go to public input. Is anybody here for public input? Public input? Anybody for public input? Go ahead.
No,
No.
There'll be another one.
there will be a public hearing and you'll have an opportunity to speak on that.
All right, so otherwise, then we'll move on to review and approve the council agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the council agenda.
Second?
I have a motion and a second to approve the agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, then we'll move on to the consent agenda. Item A, approve minimum fund balance for Parkland Dedication Fund. B, approve street painting quote. C, approve temporary lawful gambling application for Pius X St. Cloud. D, approve 10th Avenue traffic modeling and reporting study agreement. E, approve the 2026 Comprehensive Water Master Plan update.
Move to approve the consent agenda?
I want them Paul A.
Do you want to approve the rest of it?
Yeah, I'll move to approve B through E.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the consent items B through E. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, then we'll go to A.
With that, well, first of all, I don't like the idea of taking taxpayer dollars and putting it in a savings account. You raise taxes to do a project, you do the project's over. And if we're to do something like that, I think there should be more criteria in a policy that explains when that money can be spent. Because why should this body save that money for the next council to spend?
You're talking about the Parkland minimum balance?
Yeah.
I guess if you ask me, I think you don't want to take that ever down to zero because you just never know what might come up and you want to have some sort of a little bit of a reserve. And that's what the park board and Zach were looking at, is trying to set some sort of a basis point out there. And we did discuss that with Carla too, just getting a good idea of what that might look like. Is that what you're asking?
Well,
Why we
this-
have 100,000 balance?
The explanation, if that would be part of maybe a policy that goes along with the fund balance, but it's not very descriptive. Whenever something might come up, we'll spend it. Well,
Well,
I
you
could
would
make an
approve it.
argument for
Yeah.
that all day long.
Yeah.
You know, in our
Right.
we have some current parks that could use that.
Absolutely. I mean, if the council wishes to use all $132,000 tomorrow, you can certainly do that. And you ask us and we'll come back with a plan for you to vote on to do that. We were just, what they were trying to do is just set some sort of a basis point of, we don't want to get any lower than that, just to have something out there in case something happened. That's it. But if you choose not to do it, that's okay
what they
too.
intend-
You can
And
still use
then
it.
there should be a list of what that case might be.
Any of those case-by-case things for anything under that 100,000 would come back to this council.
Right.
It's just, they're not setting up, I mean, you have any purchasing over $5,000 comes back to the council right now. So I think all that they were trying to do was establish that they don't want to spend it all on like special projects. They want to make sure that they keep a balance of that in there for any of the other things so that you can maintain those parks that you currently have.
So park board, well, staff will come to the park board and say, you know, we think that this should be a good project. And the park board listens to it and they will make a recommendation to you, the board, that they feel that, okay, we want to spend $75,000 on X in this park. Well, that's more than what this is, right? If you've had a set fund balance.
You'd only have
But that's okay. And
32,000.
they could still bring it forward to you. They were just trying to figure out a way to set a balance that we can try to mark or go to this level, and then we're going to wait. But if there's something that you guys want and see done, that's absolutely within your purview to do that. And you can ask staff that and ask Park Board to go ahead and look at that.
It's probably similar to like our fund balance that we have in our overall budget,
Correct.
where we like to
Yeah,
keep
well,
about our
that's a state requirement. that we
Not
do.
really. I mean,
Well,
they
there's
recommend
there's
6
state
months.
recommendations.
Yeah, right, but we're above that. We usually are about 8 to 10.
You know, state
months,
recommendation is 6 months and we
Yeah.
carry about 9.
Yep. So I think this is just kind of carrying something, something, and I think that's what the park board was
Right.
really just
It
trying
also
to do.
gives the Park Board some
Guidance.
leeway as staff, you know, if we're going, okay, we got a $50,000 project, but we've got this out there, well, that puts up a red flag. Can we still try to move forward? Sure, but, you know, this is where our target was at and trying to stay within that.
That's where I saw it too, that it was more the park board wanting something for them.
For
to kind-
parameter.
For parameters.
Well,
But
then
it's-
I
it's
could
up to you.
easily see it be maybe half that because, you
You
know,
can change
in
it.
all
Sure,
them
yeah.
You certainly- yeah.
park studies,
Yeah.
we still got lines parked that, in my opinion, doesn't look that great. You know.
Need some
Right.
work, yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
You could change that, Frank.
now
You
we're
could
gonna
change it.
save money instead of doing what we're saying we're gonna do with parkland funds?
Well, even over all the years, we were, in the back of my mind, we were always kind of running at that about 100 grand. We were just going to kind of sit there. It wasn't official. We just ran that through our minds and just kept it there. These guys, and Zach was taking it to the next levels, actually making it a policy. But you can change that. You could take it away completely and just say, that's okay. We just want to leave it where it's at, and you can spend it all if you want, or you can change the value.
You could change it to a 50,000 if you
You're right.
wanted to, or you
Right.
could not have a policy at all.
I think
Right.
they just recommended this and we kind of went with it. But you want to change that amount to 50 or I'm okay with it. Or not at all,
And
it's up
just
to
leave it.
you.
Yeah.
But when the money's gone from there. It's not growing. Right now.
It grows with projects, yeah, development.
Right.
We always seem to have a balance or a budget for unseen or for unforeseen things happening.
In that, we do.
$100,000 is not a huge amount of money when you're considering all of the parks in the city and the amount of maintenance that they need. Based on that, I would move that item A be approved.
And also, Vic, when you talk about spending money like that, there's cash on hand that is not in our budget because I seen this council drop 100-some thousand on a road project that was not in anybody's plans.
That's true.
So there's always that. So I'd at least urge you to make it half and invest the money in what we say we're gonna do.
How about you see if you have a second?
First, we need a second.
I'll second Vic's motion.
Okay, we have motion and second, now discussion.
I think it's been discussed.
Aye.
I didn't call for it yet. Any other input on this? Where do you guys want to see it be? Sean?
I'm with
What do you
Frank.
want to-
I'm okay with 50.
Okay. I'm okay with 50.
Well, why don't you call for it?
Yeah, I have a motion and a second.
I'll change the motion to 50.
Well, wait,
can't.
you got to call it
You have
first.
to vote.
Yeah.
All right, we have a second and a motion. All in favor? All opposed?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so it
Okay.
fails. Now you
The
can.
motion to change the balance to 50,000.
Second?
All right, we have a motion and a second to change it to $50,000. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that passes. Okay, then we're going to move on to the regular agenda items. And this will be on the Sundial Drive improvements, so we have a public hearing. And notice is hereby given that the City Council of Way Park will meet in the meeting room in the St. Cloud School District Office, 1201 Second Street South, Way Park, Minnesota, 56387 at 6:30 PM or shortly thereafter on February 17th, 2026, to consider the making of improvement number 2026-01 an improvement on Sundial Drive between Second Avenue South and 10th Avenue South. Streets will be improved by conversion from a rural section to an urban section, plus the addition of pedestrian improvements pursuant to Minnesota State Statutes 429.011 to 429.111. The area proposed to be assessed for such improvements is benefiting properties adjacent to the project. The estimated cost of the improvements are $2,179,746.08. A reasonable estimate of the impact of the assessment will be available at the hearing. Such persons as desire to be heard with reference to the proposed improvements will be heard at this meeting. So I'll now open the public hearing at 6:41.
Do you want me to run through a quick presentation first before we hear comment, or do you want to hear comment first?
Yeah.
Go for presentation. All right, let's go for the presentation quick. So recognize a lot of faces that came to the open house last week. Appreciate that. Good to see you again. Thanks for coming tonight, as we talked about at that meeting. I'm going to run through this presentation pretty quick. I'm going to run through both Sundial Drive and 23rd Avenue at the same time during this presentation. And then the council will hear first comments on Sundial Drive, and then we'll hear comments on 23rd Avenue following the Sundial Drive improvements. Council may or may not take action on those items tonight. Hang around to find out. So, all right. Like I said, I'm gonna run through this pretty quick. I already ran through this one, pretty much what we're gonna plan to do. I'll run it quick. Sundial Drive, why are we doing it? The road's shot, so we need to do something out there. We've had requests and noticed a need for additional pedestrian facilities. Basically, Sundial Drive corridor started as an industrial park, and it's certainly transitioning a little bit. We're getting some different use out there, and that has made us rethink what it looks like. What does the corridor look like? And what do we need to benefit those new users and hopefully some of the existing users as well. So as you can see, the road is shot. That's the primary reason why we're doing this. And this just comes up as now is the time to take care on those additional facilities that we go with the road construction. So that's the proposal at this point. 23rd Avenue, if you drive that road, I don't have to tell you why we're talking about it. It is in terrible condition, worse than Sundial Drive. Like that, Sundial Drive improvements, now is the opportunity. If we're going to replace that road, we got one shot to put sewer and water in and save everybody a little bit of money versus putting sewer and water in after the fact. So that's what we're here tonight, is talk about sewer and water for 23rd Avenue and 12th Street is that intersection. So list of the proposed improvements here, a picture. I do have copies of this exhibit that I can send with anybody that needs one for tonight. I know it's not ideal to look over your shoulder at the presentation or wherever you're looking, but I do have copies of that exhibit. They were available at the public hearing or at the open house as well. But again, I have some, and I'd be happy to meet you in the hall and hand them out afterwards, so no problems there. So that's Sundial Drive. Again, we're looking at a curb and gutter roadway, similar width to what's out there now, sidewalk on both sides, 6-foot sidewalk immediately adjacent to the back of curb. Save you the trouble. The city will be maintaining that sidewalk, so there's a bonus to the property owners. It's not going to be on you. It'll be on us. So we are currently proposing a two-way center left turn lane with 12-foot lanes, and then it'd be smaller shoulders than what's out there now. So trying to make this thing function as both an industrial park plus the additional uses that we're seeing. 23rd, as I mentioned, we're looking to put that roadway back the way it is now, maybe a little heavier section to deal with our neighbors that are excavating companies and hauling some heavy loads out there. But otherwise, what we're showing here tonight is the improvements with sewer and water. Again, this all was stubbed out when County Road 137 was done. Oh boy, it's been 15, 20 years now. So it's all stubbed out with the idea that eventually this roadway would get sewer and water. Now's our chance if we're going to replace the road again. Otherwise, 2 years from now, somebody says, my septic failed and I need a sewer and water system. And now you guys are going to have to pay for the road and the sewer and water. So at this point, the city is going to cover the cost of the road. We're just asking the residents to bear the cost of the sewer and water if it would move forward. All right, these project costs are tables that I'm supposed to put in here that you're not going to see and you're not going to be able to see them, but they're on that assessment roll that was mailed to you. I do have copies of that in front of you tonight. We aren't required to put it in the notice, but we put it in there because we want to be transparent so you guys can see what the cost is, and that honestly that's what fills the seats in the auditorium tonight is hearing from the costs. So these are the costs, and again, so the next slide shows you what we're assessing on each one. Promise I'd run through it fast, I will. So on Sundial Drive, it is only the new components of the system that are being assessed. The roadway itself is not being covered. So what the residents or the adjacent property owners are being asked to cover is the cost of the curb and gutter and the sidewalk, and that's about it. The rest of it, the city's gonna cover. So the city's cost in this project is way more than half, and this is consistent with what we've assessed in the past. So new improvement gets assessed, old improvements are covered by the city, and that's what we're proposing tonight. As for 23rd Avenue, we're only assessing for sewer and water because the roadway isn't going to change. But that's further discussion to be had on that one in the upcoming slides. So that's what we're asking for from the adjacent property owners. This is what I said in written form here. What is Sundial Drive being assessed for? Sidewalk, curb and gutter, and the storm sewer that helps on the street. 23rd, just sewer and water mains. So again, that's the limit of the assessments. The rest is being borne by the city. In both cases, it's a reasonably, I'm not gonna say it's a good deal. It's still expensive and I don't take that lightly. But theirs is what the city is covering. So as you notice, the list that the city is covering is much more extensive than that we're assessing. And it's based on again, what the policy has been, what our past practice has been with assessments for the city. Don't need to belabor the point again. Many of you guys heard this story from me personally already, so. Assessment rates, again, these are the rates that are found in the yellow box on top of that sheet that was sent to you guys in the mail. I also have these, again, handouts for you. Anybody that wants them, stop and see me after the meeting. I'll meet you out in the hallway. I'll hand out as many handouts as you want. But these are the assessment rates we are proposing. And they are, like I said, specific to each project. And again, each property owner, I sent out the full assessment roll for everybody so you can see what the neighbor's impact is as well as yours, because I'm not interested in having the wrong information shared. I want everybody to see what everybody's paying or what we're requesting at this point. So what's next? If you have technical questions on the project, I'll be here to answer them. Happy to take those. If you have direction that you'd like to provide to the council, opinions like to provide to the council before they decide whether or not to move the project forward, please address that to the council. I think Adri would appreciate it if you mention your name and address. I think would be a thing that would really make her life better, so I'd appreciate it if you do that as well. I did provide to the council a summary of the open house comments, including yours, noting concerns that were provided at the open house. I encourage those people to show up and voice those concerns again, but I did provide them to the council so they've seen them as well. But again, I have additional conversation to be had on 23rd Avenue that we'll save for once that public hearing is open. But unless the council has questions for me, I'll turn it over to Ken to start the public input.
Council, any questions? No. Sir, go ahead.
All right. My name is Randy Volkmuth. I'm the president of DJV Label. We're at 520 Sundial Drive. And I just have some prepared remarks to kind of talk through what we're thinking. Our business is DJV Label. For those of you unaware, we manufacture pressure-sensitive labels primarily for the food industry. We reside at 520 Sundial Drive, and we currently have a facility of about 27,000 square feet. We manufacture billions of labels a year for companies all over the nation. My father started the company in 1976 at Sundial Drive as a small one-press company, and we now have 7 presses and about 20 employees, making an average wage of about $35 an hour. We have been in this industrial park the whole time since 1976, paying our property tax and being a good asset to the community. Today, we continue to manufacture labels for companies all over the nation. We bring in many trucks every day to drop off material and to pick up product. We were hoping to be doing an expansion in the next years, but if this passes, I would have to look at and see once if it is good for our business. Our business would see absolutely no material benefit from sidewalks, and in fact would see them as an impediment for us to be doing business. We alone have between 10 and 15 trucks entering our property daily. I'm sure Burnix has many more, as well as other tenants along this road. Aside from not seeing any benefit, my concern would be the safety. You put in sidewalks, and now all the trucks we have coming have one more thing to deal with as children run by as they navigate their trucks. Is this really a good spot for sidewalks long-term? I would say no, and I would advocate you say no on this proposal as well.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Anybody else would like to speak? Okay, then I need a motion to close the public hearing.
Mike's coming up.
Oh,
Just kind of wait and see if anybody else wanted it. After seeing this proposal online, going through some of the policies of the previous councils, especially with the sidewalk being adjacent to the curb, that was one of the things that the city and the previous councils did not want to see because of the high maintenance costs to it, especially during the winter time. That road out there does not get that much pedestrian traffic. It has never overflowed the drainage that you have out there yet. It seems to flow just fine. Maybe making the road a little bit wider would be a benefit. But however, you've put 3 businesses out there that do not pay taxes. You put 2 new ones in there right now that will not be paying taxes out there. That was meant to be an industrial commercial area. I don't know where your money is coming from. Are you going to bond for this? Or is it going to come directly from the taxpayers of the city? That's the biggest complaint that we hear in town right now is our taxes. No matter which way, I'm sure the taxes will go up, not only for those people out in that area, but for the whole city. Can we afford putting these high expensive type projects in that really don't seem to be benefiting too much out in that particular area? The road itself, yes, I agree, needs to be replaced. That was on the replacement for how many years? But to do it in the fashion that you want to do it in, I don't think it calls for that grade of upgrades. It's a pretty safe road. I believe Vacosa is maybe the one that's calling for sidewalks, but I don't even see the Vacosa people on the roadways. They basically need a good crosswalk. And I believe that would be great for part of the project. The other addition up on the corner by 2nd Avenue, I guess I never agreed with it. That was one of the best kept secrets that the city had for how long before it was let out. You know, that's going to be part of your traffic problem. However, the truck traffic, you will have some additional with that school that you allowed to go in, with the busing. That particular area probably needs a 3rd lane. I didn't see anything on a 3rd lane in there because you're going to have a lot of traffic going in and out there when that school opens. I've been over to their school in St. Cloud, and there is a lot of vehicle traffic. So that's something to think about over there, and I don't know if you thought about that. But as far as the sidewalks and the upgrade to the storm and thing, your storm is running fine out there. I lived out there for 40 years now. And haven't seen that road flood one time. Like I say, maybe making it a foot or 2 wider if you want to have pedestrian, but very little pedestrian traffic is on that road. I travel it several times a day. Very seldom do you see anybody on that road. So I think that particular amount of money you want to spend on that project is kind of going overboard. And like I said, I'd like to know how you plan to pay for it. Is it going to be bonded? Does it come out of any of the state aid monies? I think those are some of the questions that should be answered, and how much will it cost the taxpayer in the next 10 to 20 years for that particular project? That's it.
Okay, thank you, Mike.
Make a motion to close the public hearing?
I don't know if we're
Unless
done.
there's somebody else.
Anybody else want to speak on this? All right, so if nobody else wants to do it, then I need a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion to
moved.
close the public hearing?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Public hearing is closed.
I would like to add one thing. So we have not done an appraisal for this area yet. So the assessment you guys see in front of you tonight is as bad as worst case scenario for you. We are going to have an appraisal done on the parcels, and that could reduce the assessments based on the appraiser's recommendations. So really what you've been presented is worst case scenario.
Can you touch on the financing aspects of the project from the city side of that?
Yeah, I
thing that
can.
was brought up?
Yep, so honestly, this really lines up well with our annual street improvement budget. We will not utilize state aid funds. Sundial Drive is not a state aid roadway. So we couldn't use state aid funds if we wanted to. It's just not an option for us. But honestly, this is about what, between sales tax dollars and general fund dollars, this lines up well for that. And honestly, that was the motivation for this year. The assessments help us stretch those dollars. But again, that is the plan. I won't speak to whether Carla intends to bond for it or not, but we're very close to our standard budget.
I have a question for you.
The bonding scenario is going to be dependent on the next public hearing too, so I don't want to say too much about it at this point. It's a possibility. It just all depends.
I have a question. Is it necessary to have sidewalk on both sides of that road?
Yeah.
I can see pedestrian traffic on the south side. I'm not sure I could see pedestrian traffic on the west side.
So we actually did look at that and see what the use was. I was out there for an extended period of time on Friday, actually, and the number of people walking out there was a surprise to me. There were a lot more than I expected there to be, quite honestly, and every one of them was walking on the north side of the roadway. But to be fair, we looked at them both, Vic, and also the grade separation between the back of curb and the roadway. Basically, with the way the ditches are out there, it was a whole lot more expensive project to put sidewalk separated by a boulevard. Plus, we have the maintenance component of dead grass between the sidewalk and the boulevard in an industrial area like this, or industrial commercial. So that was the consideration. Yes, both were reviewed. The cost isn't that incredibly much more to go to a 6-foot walk on both sides versus an 8-foot walk on one side. So that was the determination. That was our recommendation from staff.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
No, I think it's amazing you got Bill to agree to maintain that. Anytime you can get a sidewalk that the city's gonna plow for you from someone who lives on Third Street, that's a good deal.
Then I would need somebody to make a motion.
They're going to be moved forward separately, correct?
Yes.
And you'd be approving the resolution that is attached for Sundial, if that's the consideration in front of you.
I move to approve the Sundial Drive project as presented.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second to accept the project. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion passes.
Do we have to say something about the resolution that's attached to it?
No, it's
That's
fine.
included.
All right,
Yeah.
okay.
All right. Then we'll move on to 23rd Avenue. All right. Notice is hereby given that the City Council of Way Park will meet in the meeting room at the St. Cloud School District Office, 1201 Second Street South, Way Park, Minnesota, 56387, at 6 PM or shortly thereafter on February 17th, 2026, to consider the making of improvement number 2026-02, an improvement on 23rd Avenue South between County Road 137 and 12th Street South, and 12th Street South between 23rd Avenue South and 270 feet west of the center line, 23rd Avenue South. Streets will be improved by reconstruction plus the addition of sanitary sewer collection and water distribution pursuant to Minnesota Statute 429.011 to 429.111. The area proposed to be assessed for such improvements is parcels adjacent to the work. The estimated cost for the improvements is $1,271,450. A reasonable estimate of the impact of the assessment will be available at the hearing. Such persons as I heard in reference to the proposed improvement will be heard at this meeting. So the public hearing will open up at 7:01.
Mr. Mayor, if you don't mind, I have a letter from Helen Driscoll regarding her comments, and I will read it from her directly here. I am contacting you regarding the proposed improvements adjacent to my property at 23rd Avenue South in Way Park. While I understand the city's goals of moving forward with this project, I have several concerns about how the proposed improvements may affect my property, including my plans to bring housing development on my adjacent property. I respectfully request the city to temporarily pause further approvals or construction activity until these concerns can be discussed and resolved. I'm eager to work cooperatively with the city to ensure the project proceeds in a way that avoids unintended consequences and protects adjacent property owners. Thank you for your consideration and for ensuring that affected residents are given meaningful input in the process. I look forward to your response. And I can follow up a little bit further on that. Bill and I met with representatives of Helen Driscoll regarding some things that they're considering on their property that would potentially make our improvements on 23rd Avenue a bit premature. Following that meeting, I think staff's recommendation is to hold on this and not move it forward this evening until we can further explore those other development scenarios out there, was our recommendation based on the meetings and input we got from the public open house. And Bill can further talk to that too.
Yeah, the only thing I wanted to let you know is that you have 6 months. So after this public hearing tonight, you have 6 months then to be able to act on it. And I think that window is well enough for us to, city staff to work with Helen Driscoll's and also the neighboring properties out there too. But I think tonight you take their testimony of what they have to say, and then you guys can make a decision at that point.
Yeah, we saw really good representation from the residents or the property owners on 23rd at the open house. They were excellent conversation, and to sum it up, I think everybody saw there is a potential benefit, but the cost, they were worried, may not warrant that benefit. Like I said on Sundial Drive, an appraisal letter or, evaluation by an appraiser would be completed on this to confirm the value of the assessments being reasonable and within the benefit. But again, our staff recommendation is that we hold on this once you hear comment on others.
Okay, so when they get this assessment, can you talk to about how long they got to pay for it?
So we haven't talked about payment terms. Generally, assessments of this magnitude are in the 10 to 15-year range. I've seen it go as high as 20. I don't like it because that's about what we can expect to get out of a roadway. But that being said, that's what we like to see. Do we know what the council 20 years from now will do? What will the assessment policy be then? We don't know. But I would like to see it in the 10 to 15-year range. But again, that'll be a council discussion that'll take place at the actual assessment hearing, which is after the project is completed. So we wouldn't know that until now, but I think it's safe to say the interest rate would be, slightly above what we would bond for. And that term would be in the 15-year range would be my guess where we'd end up, but again, that's a guess. And
Our,
it's-
our past assessments, which was back in 2008 or 9, something like that. And anything up to that point prior was always that whatever we had to go out and bond for, plus 1% for administrative fees.
Yep.
And then the council did set at that, each given assessment hearing, final assessment hearing, if it was a 10 or 15.
Okay.
Typically 15, but that's up to you guys to make that choice. And staff will come back with different recommendations of what it looks like at each level of that.
Okay, thank you. Okay, this is a public hearing. Anybody would like to speak?
Third Avenue?
23rd Avenue
23rd
project.
Avenue. Okay.
Hi, I'm Kelly O'Hara, 2311 12th Street South. That's my address. As you were just saying, you hope the new roads will last, what, 15 to 20 years? I've been out there 28 years. I purchased the property and had to buy an easement from Dan. Dan put the road in, the original road in himself. And he had all the burden of the road, the costs. And be honest, I think he cheaped out. I mean, I think he went with like 1.5 inches of blacktop and I don't know how much base underneath. And his blacktop ended at his driveway. And if you notice, there's a cold joint there, and I had to put in the rest of the road over to my gate. Well, my blacktop is held up a whole lot better than his did. So I think for him putting it in at all of his costs, it's held up 28 years for sure. And it is really rough. Everybody knows it's really rough. There's no doubt. And part of the problem is the road is narrow and the Metro buses are falling off the side all the time and they're busting up the sides and the road's all alligated and patching it just isn't working anymore. You know, but every time a Metro bus comes down there, he's always off on the shoulder and the weight of that bus is busting up the sides. I mean, and everybody that's been out there can see that. But on the same hand, I don't see any need for the sewer and water. In my opinion, like for instance, my business, I might flush, I got a 5-gallon hot water heater in my shop. We wash our hands. We use very little water. We flush the toilet a couple times a day. And a lot of times, I mean, we go out, we work, we're gone all day. We're not there. I mean, septic systems, I think everybody has area to do for a secondary system in case their system fail. Like I said, I've been there 28 years. My system's working fine. And I have plenty of room to put in a new one should it fail. I got plenty of good water. But I just don't see the need for sewer and water out there at this time. But I do think if you're gonna re-blacktop, you should think about possibly widening that road out a little bit. Because the Metro buses are overcautious. If you meet one on the road, they're over on the shoulder. And like I say, they're busting up the blacktop. And like I say, I think Dan, he foot the bill for the whole thing when he put his shop in there. And he cheaped out. I mean, I talked to Wally Wally from Bowerly's when I put my piece in, and he said, yeah, Dan cheaped out. Well, whatever. I mean, that was all his expense at that time. But if you expect a normal road to last 20 years, this has been out there 30, for sure. I mean, as far as the water, yeah, there's slight pooling when you get heavy rains, but it absorbs in. I mean, it goes away within a day. I just don't see at this time where we need the sewer and water. I spoke with some of the neighbors, and my consensus is most of them don't want it.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Anybody else would like to speak?
Hi, Jamie Thielen, 1180 23rd Avenue South. As well as Kelly, we have a small shop. We're not there very much. I've been out there 9 years. Our septic has never been pumped. It's not full. not even half full. We don't use the water. We don't have a lot of traffic coming up and down. I think it's foolish to spend money on the properties that are out there. You got 2 excavating companies that are 4 or 5 people. We're 3 people, and you got vacant property. I just think it's not wise money spent at this time. My feelings only. Thanks.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Bernie Schultz. I'm the co-owner of Felling Products. We're at 2320 County Road 137 here in White Park. I'm opposed to the road itself because that will not benefit my building at all or my business at all. We're a small cabinet shop and we employ probably, at this point, we're employing 15 people. We've been in business since my father-in-law started a business in '59. And in 1971, he moved out here, and we've been there since '71, and we don't have any issues with the water. We don't have any issues with septic systems. Ours works fine, and, you know, we are not using a lot of water in our process. We're a cabinet shop, so we aren't using excess amount of water for anything. And to be assessed, from the literature I got, would be assessed in excess of $90,000 for city services, but plus the road. Now, the road, I will not benefit from that at all because currently my driveway runs parallel to that to the road that's existing or that you want to improve. And I will not be using that road at all. So to get assessed for all that, it's just not a good business plan for me to invest that kind of money and get no return and have no control over it. So, like I say, we've been in business since '59. We're a second generation at this point, second generation business. I've got a son and a daughter, or 2 sons and a daughter that are working for me that we'd like to pass this business on. So it'd be a third generation. I've got grandchildren that are coming in, and I'd like it to pass on to be a 4th generation business. But if we got to come up with $90,000 for the assessment, plus it's going to cost me in excess of another $30,000 to hook the services up to my building, it's just not feasible for a small cabinet shop like mine. So at this point, I would urge you not to go through with this project at all or come up with a different plan so that I'm not stuck with a huge investment that there's no return on it for me. So I thank you for taking your time to listen to me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I ask a quick question for you?
Certainly.
Right here. You're opposed to sewer and water, or are you opposed to the
I'm opposed to the whole thing.
whole deal?
Because the road, I understand the road is shot, I understand that, but I don't use it. I get no benefit from that road. Because like I say, the road runs down and my driveway is parallel to that road. My driveway has been in there since '71. And now the road that was constructed to get, you know, that you want to refurbish, that's only been there, I don't know how long, maybe 30 years. And you know, so I'm getting stuck with, you know, double access to my business that I don't need.
Corner.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. Thank you.
Can I ask the question about the previous man that was up here? I just have a quick question for you. Are you opposed to the road or just to the water and sewer? Both of you.
We need sewer and water. The road, something should be done to the road. You go out there, you drive it, you'll see it. But I don't think any need for sewer and water.
And council, I just want to make a comment there that the road is being paid for by the city. That
Yeah.
is not a cost being borne by the assessed property owners.
Go ahead.
Hi, my name's Colleen Orn. I'm the executive director of TriCap. We own the 2 buildings at 1200 and 1210 on 23rd Avenue South. I would echo that the road needs some help, but I'm going to come to that last. I want to kind of share with you, in terms of sewer, the city and water. First of all, we don't need it personally. We are probably the largest employer out there. We have up to 60 employees that could potentially be on those properties. They're not, because we're a hybrid organization. I don't see that changing. So even in terms of needing that, it also would be actual financial harm to us, because the funding in and of itself, those of you who know how nonprofits work, you can't use your funds, federal, state, or corporate funding, any kind of grants you're getting for those types of needs anyway. Certainly, we have overhead costs that we pay already by building owners and maintenance and what have you, but there's a certain percentage. So when there's a certain percentage you're allowed for overhead, whether it's 10% for some of the funding sources, 15 for another, something's going to have to give. And as a nonprofit, we already run so lean and mean that we keep our overhead where it needs to be. So this would cause harm to us. The other part I would say about that is we just invested in an 8-stall bus garage, as many of you probably know out there. That was a pretty significant MnDOT investment, but it also requires a local match. So we planfully already, we plan 5 years out for these things, have invested heavily in our own reserves in order to make that project happen. Part of that was to move our well. So we just did a number of things. This project just wrapped up this summer. So one of the things I would say, I do agree that the road needs some help, and it is absolutely because the Metro bus comes out there. Some of that is they bring our own program participants. But additionally, our buses come and go from there as well. We have 5 different bus garages. That one happens to be located in Stearns County, and we are the contract with MnDOT to be rural transportation. And so those buses will continue to come and go, which is why we built the facility, so we can continue to meet the needs of rural Minnesota, Stearns County specifically. So I feel concerned about if we need to use our reserves, which are limited. They say a healthy nonprofit has 6 months of reserves at any time. But obviously with this project, that's not the case for us. Additionally, there are things that you can use those funds for. The volatility of funding right now, we've seen funding retract, come back to us. We're already moving on our feet trying to figure out how to meet all these needs. This would just cause additional harm to that because we need to be planning for how are we going to do this with our reserves. I would hate to use our funds that way. So I would say that sewer and water for us, it gives us no benefit. That would not be something that I would want to see us invest in. I do think the road needs some help. You know, I think that part of that is we've just kind of learned how to deal with it, you know, not to be flip about it, but it's a bit of a different times of season. It's kind of like playing a little game of Frogger, trying to figure out where to go. It needs some help. But to that end, I think that would be, regardless if we're talking about sewer and water, from our business standpoint, it would not be something that would benefit us and quite frankly would cause us some harm. Thanks.
All right, thank you. Anybody else would like to speak to the issue? All right.
I move that we close the public hearing.
At time.
7:18.
7:18. Okay, we have a motion,
Second?
and we have a motion and a second to close the public hearing at 7:18. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right.
So,
We want a motion to table?
to table it.
Yeah.
I don't know if we need a motion to table or just don't act on it. I think that actually might be more appropriate, because if we table it, we're obligated to bring it back.
Right.
Okay.
So I think don't act on it, and then we have up to 6 months to do an action on it. But again, I think until we get
So
further
we're done
discussion.
with the public input part of this project?
For now, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And we can move on to see that.
Okay, all right, so we'll do no action on that. And I guess what I'd kind of like to do at this particular point, since we're running so long, I'd like to skip C for now and go to D.
Okay.
And this would be the preliminary and final plat for the Zabinski Acres Plat 3.
Council members, this request has been submitted by Bob Zabinski to allow for review of prelim and final plat of proposed Zabinski Acres Plat 3. That's a proposed new parcel on Mr. Zabinski's property, the vicinity of his County Road 6 area, County Road 137. new parcel in the A1 Ag Rural Residential District, approximately just a shade under 20 acres. The applicant is pursuing potential sale of the property with the intent of eventual development of a single-family home. Development, so the home doesn't require specific approval, provided it adheres to all the standard applicable ordinances, but we can't issue any building permits for the property until the platting of that property occurs. The area, the prelim and final plat separates, again, just a little bit less than 20 acres immediately to the south of the previously approved Zabinski Acres Plat 2. This property does meet or exceed all the criteria for the Ag Rural Residential District. We have received the certificate from Stearns County Highway Department regarding their conditions of approval, fairly straightforward due to the frontage on a county road in that area. Regarding the parkland dedication payment in lieu fee, and fee schedule, we have that as established for a single-family home is $836. So that's the recommendation for the fee assessment for parkland dedication. Staff is supportive of the preliminary and final plats as submitted. The Planning Commission did review the request. Excuse me, I have a typo in there. They reviewed the request at their last meeting. No comments specific to the platting were received. The planning commissioners, Bob Zabinski and Mr. Tim Jansky, as both planning commissioners, both abstained from the vote and discussion due to their involvement with the request. So my recommendation would be approval of the prelim plat with the conditions of number 1, the property is subject to the requirement of payment in lieu of parkland dedication as established by fee schedule in the amount of $836. Any required parkland dedication fees must be paid prior to affixing of city signatures upon the plat. And number 2, a property is subject to the comments and requirements set forth by Stearns County Highway Department, and the associated certification of review is documented in their letter dated February 6, 2026. Provided that those conditions of the prelim plat are satisfied, I'd recommend adoption of the resolution approving the final plat as well.
Council, any questions?
No,
Otherwise, I need a motion.
I'll move to approve the preliminary and final plat for Zabinski Acres with the parkland dedication fee and the conditions.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. There you go, gentlemen. Yes, sir.
I'd just like to make mention that it won't show up in the plat. The buyer and I both agreed. There'll be a 33-foot easement. This buyer will have 16 and a half feet. Should be land to the south of that, it'll be sold, it'll be required to have a 16 and a half foot easement so that the city can put a street back there. So the land behind it is not landlocked at some point in time, just for your, it won't show on the plat because it's a fine easement. Just for you know.
All right.
Thank you much, Bob. Okay, and same thing, I want to move on to E before we go back to C.
This is our request for variance.
Yes.
All right.
Sorry.
This request has been submitted by Virginia A. Streifels Revocable Trust. This is a variance request from city ordinance related to the minimum lot area in the A1 Ag Rural Residential area to go from the standard current ordinance down to 2 acres. The property address vicinity is 9182 County Road 138. The request is being made to accommodate the creation of a new parcel, approximately 2 acres, for purpose of splitting the existing home on the property onto its own parcel to facilitate the sale and transfer to a family member of the applicant, and as well as facilitate Ms. Streifels to move into a patio home within the community, which the applicant has advised is a much preferable living arrangement for her. The proposed 2-acre parcel would be similar in nature to other pre-existing parcels in the immediate vicinity, which is unlike other situations where we've previously reviewed where we've done 1 or 2 5-acre parcels in areas where there were no immediately surrounding smaller parcels. For reference, immediately adjacent to this proposed 2-acre parcel, there's a parcel of 0.64 acres, one of 0.58 acres, and 1.6 acres, either right next door or just across the street. So these, we have to take these in kind of a case-by-case scenario when we get requests like this. If the variance would ultimately be approved by city council, in this instance, the creation of the new parcel can be executed administratively via staff in coordination with the applicant and their selected surveyor. There'd only be a single new parcel being created and there's no building permit triggered due to it being an existing home. We don't need to plat it because it's existing. Although that could be triggered at some point in the future if there's ever any construction or a garage or a expansion of the home or something that may trigger requirements to plat at that time. Given that the request is to grant accommodations for an immediate family member and the hardship being imposed is beyond the scope of control of the applicant, staff is supportive of the request. The 2-acre allowance instead of the standard 10-acre is reasonable in staff's opinion, given the nature of the surrounding properties in that vicinity and in line with previous accommodations for sub-10-acre parcels to accommodate family needs in other ag rural residential zoned areas. The Planning Commission did review the request at their February 9th, 2026 meeting last week. No comments were received from the public, except the applicant who provided a brief summary of information for the Planning Commission. The Planning Commission did express some reservation with the potential establishment of precedent in recommending a 2-acre parcel, but recommended approval of the request. That being said, my recommendation would be for approval of the variances requested and adoption of the attached approving resolution.
Okay, any questions for John?
I would just add one note with variances. You always have the option as well, as does the Planning Commission, to either approve the variances requested. You have the option of denial, but you also have the option of the approval of a lesser degree, i.e. somewhere less than 10 but higher than 2, kind of in the middle ground. That's always something on the table as well.
All right.
Questions?
No.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the variance at 9182 County Road 138 as presented.
Yet without precedence.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
As presented.
As presented.
Presented.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. You got it. All right, then we'll go back to C. Consider community park rental fee increase.
I don't know if Bill wants to talk about this or if I'm going to talk about it, or if any of us are going to talk about it, because we didn't really do it. Zach brought it to the park board, and this is what their determination was. I think they thought $10 was hopefully easy for people to absorb that wanted to rent the facility, and it shouldn't impact the rentability of it, but also help us cover the costs of staff to make sure that the building is kept up and maintained appropriately to continue doing rentals.
I'd move to deny. We tax the taxpayers to pay for it, then we tax them again to use it. And what's $10 gonna do? I'd rather double it for non-resident and make it free for the residents. I mean, they paid for it, and you pay for it, and you pay for it. And how many times we rented a year? 5 times, 10 times?
Way more than that.
So it's $100. Or,
I don't know the exact number of rentals, but in the summer, I can tell you it's rented a lot.
Okay, but before we get too much farther down the road, do we have a second? Okay, so the motion dies with lack of a second. Anybody else would like to make a motion?
I'll make that motion.
What motion?
what is
Just
that?
trying to catch my breath.
Oh, sorry.
Well, let me get down here.
So the recommendation that's coming from the park board is 2 things. The proposed increase would adjust the residential rental rate from $75 to $85, and the non-resident rental rate from $160 to $170.
Well, I would make a motion to to approve the Appendix B fee schedule with the updates to the community park rental rates.
As presented?
Pardon?
Is that as presented, Vic? Okay.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the $10 fee increase. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed?
All right,
3-2.
yep, 3-2. All right, then item F, approve purchase of Dell laptops.
Yes, thank you, council, Mr. Mayor. Before you, it's just a purchase request for 22 new laptops for the police department. The current laptops were purchased back with like COVID dollars in 2020. Stearns County IT, who supports our computers on their network, have made the request that we update our stuff because it's falling apart. We do have a number of computers that are not working currently. And virtually all of the current 5424s like I have are from 2020. They're not warranted, and they are very much at their end of life. On the agenda item before you, there is a typo in the recommended action. In the background, I have the total purchase price of $69,031.60. The recommended action has 60,000. That is a typo. The true number is $69,031.60. That's 22 new Dell Pro Rugged 14 laptops for the police officers, which will fix the mobile computers for them. And then Lance from IT is going to go through and see what's salvageable out of these for the rest of the department. But it is based off the state bid contract. It is state bid pricing, and the attached quote and state bid contract are both attached to this resolution.
And it's in the budget.
And it's in the budget.
I'll move to approve.
Second?
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the purchase of the Dell laptops. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, 5-0. All right, then we're going to consider the amendments to the fire chief job description.
This was requested by the city council to bring back, and we have, I appreciate the discussion, because it is, a new position like this does prompt a lot of great discussion, and I think originally it was presented with a 2-year degree and by staff, and then it came back and it was approved by the council to go to a 4-year degree, which that motion actually did approve. What I brought back for you then for consideration was the changes to the job description, which included the points. So technically, you've already approved the going to the 4-year degree. But what you didn't approve was changing the job description that increased the points. If you're going to change it back to a 2-year degree, you officially would have to rescind the motion on the 4-year to a 2-year and then approve the job description as it was presented originally. Or if you're going to continue to stay and move forward with the 4-year, what you need to do is it needs to reflect that in the job description, which changed the points. It increased the points to 40 points, and it increased it to a pay grade 11 versus a pay grade 10. So I just wanted to clarify that is that we need to make a note that you technically have made a motion to already accept the 4-year degree. If you want to change that, which you can still have that discussion, just notice you may end up having to make you might have to do 2 different motions for that, is all I'm getting at. So let's have the discussion about whether or not the body, because we need to know this to be able to finish so we can get the position published. I can't do anything more with it until that, which is okay. It's a good discussion to have. So I understand all of it. The one thing I will mention to you as well, I wasn't at that last meeting and I understand that, but I did have a conversation with the consultants to find out what their thoughts were as far as whether it be a 2-year or 4-year degree. They actually recommended the 4-year. They felt that this position was technical enough that we would want somebody with that caliber of a degree for this particular position, given what we were after. So that is just their recommendation. You can take with it what you want. I have seen it both ways. I originally recommended the 2-year. I appreciate the 4-year. I think education is an important piece. Whether it's a 2-year or 4-year, you can still have a 4-year preferred if you wanted to go that direction. But most likely you're going to find, those that would be applying for this at the caliber that you're going to need would probably end up having a 4-year degree anyway.
Well, when we did that, I had no idea the difference in 10 points.
10 point, no, what, 40 points.
Yeah.
It depends on, so the points are really just a matter of where you fall on that, there's, each pay grade is a range, right? So that 40 points where that range was just pushed it over into that pay grade 11. So yeah, that is true. So
It's significant.
it is significant.
I want to go backwards.
If you guys want
But
to.
I don't think I made the motion either, so I can't rescind the motion. Can I?
I don't.
I think
I think the
anyone, as long
motioner
as you
needs
can
to-
have, I think anyone can rescind the motion as long as you get the majority of the council that support the rescinding of that motion.
I'd make a motion for the 4-year degree, to improve the position description as a baccalaureate degree.
With the changes to the pay
Yes.
grades and all of that, which
Yes.
would include the pay grade from a 10 to 11. Okay, and the points, okay.
We have a motion. Will somebody second that? Okay, and then the motion dies.
Well, let me just ask a quick question to the council. Are you aware of the differences in terms of training and education between the 4-year degree and the 2-year degree? The lack of specificity in the associate degree versus the bachelor degree? This is a very technical position description, very well written. The challenge is terrific in it. And to water it down with a degree that's only looking at broad educational standards versus more specificity, I think we're shorting ourselves.
But Vic, we may get that anyway.
Yes and no. I mean, I want to make
Yeah,
something
right.
clear
I
because
understand.
you're going
Let
to
me
be,
ask this.
okay.
So, no, you can't have both. Never
Well,
mind.
I think what,
I know where you're coming from.
what I was just gonna say is that you create obviously the more money you pay, the better the market you get as far as, generally, you would like to believe that you're gonna get a higher caliber candidate, but that's making a statement that every applicant pool can be different, right? I mean, we can go through this process and at the end of the day, if we don't feel like we have a high enough caliber of a person, we don't have to hire anybody either. But you are correct, Vic, in the fact that, that this is a very technical position, and I went back and forth on it too. And there's cities that go both different directions on that. I would maybe have felt stronger about it and made that recommendation originally if I felt like we had if we had a full-time staff of
Right.
today of 10 to
Firefighters.
15 firefighters that
Yep.
you're having to manage. Now you're managing union environment, which you would get if you had a full-time staff. And you're managing a lot more of the rules and the personal regulations. Now, having said that, we are at a very pivotal point in our fire department as well. And there are some very tough decisions that are going to have to be made with that. And so the caliber of having somebody with, a strong education and to be able to have, that ability and backbone to be able to make recommendations that might not otherwise be very popular amongst any of us, to be quite honest with you. It is a challenge. So there's no right or wrong answer to this. I think, like I said before, the education is a positive thing. But I think you can look at it in both ways. as
You
I
could
mentioned.
say, I could make the argument then, if we go back to the 2-year, we would be opening the pool.
You could be, you
Yep.
could say
We,
that.
we could have technically more applicants.
You
to
could have
pick.
more applicants, but how qualified are they gonna be? I don't know. I mean, you're gonna open up you may open it up to somebody that has a lot more
Well-
experience without a 2-year degree, but you're also gonna open it up to some people that don't have the experience and the knowledge that we're gonna just have to weed through. That's the other side to it.
But we're a city of, I'm hoping they're never a chief, because we're a city of first time.
I tell you, Frank,
First time
Frank,
police
what you're,
chief,
Yeah,
what you're
police-
looking at,
Administrator.
what you're looking at is a
Anybody
degree
else
that's
first?
based on generalized knowledge. It's a 2-year degree, generalized knowledge, lacking the specificity that you're looking for in terms of interpreting all of the data. Where you look at the bachelor's degree, you get more specialized information. You go deeper into the subject. You have a longer opportunity to gain and understand what you're doing. So if you're going to go with an associate degree, you better decide if you want an AA degree, an AS degree, or an AAS degree. These are all really important distinctions versus going for a bachelor's degree.
It does indicate in there that it was more related to the fire side of things, but it does open the door to other people. You're correct.
Okay, let me
Your
just
administrator
clarify.
has a master's and your police chief has a bachelor's, even though we are number one. So, but I'm not trying to use that as your deciding factors, but
Well, and if you recall the original conversation, Jim sitting there also said a bachelor's degree would be better than an associate degree. And Jim would agree with that,
Is there a bachelor's degree that you can
Yes.
name?
a BS degree.
Bachelor of Science, which would
Yeah.
be.
Right.
Bachelor
Yeah,
of Science
Bachelor of
degree.
Science is a 4-year degree, which includes 2 general ed years. So it's the same 2 years that you would get at a
No,
VOTEC.
you've got 2 generalized years
And
in
then
the
2
associate
specialized.
degree.
Right.
specialized
It's the
years.
same thing you would get if you went to a 2-year
And
program.
then you get the extra 2 years of specificity.
That's not equal. It's not the same. I think we cut ourselves
Have you looked
short
this up?
if I have a few degrees, okay? I've done it.
Well, I'm not
A
asking if you've done
bachelor's
it. I've asked
degree
if you've read
includes
it.
2 years of general education,
Yes.
right? So the other 2 years that are left are your specific major and minor
Exactly what we're
programs,
looking for.
which would be the same thing you would get if you went to a 2-year program,
Not true.
because they skip the generals.
They skip the generals. They go right to
If you're
specific
not
topics.
asking for like a
I-
very specific general, yeah,
Right,
it does.
right. You can say bachelor's and, anybody.
They still might
whatever.
have the same education.
But my other question is though, is there a fire chief program? Is there
No.
a school?
You get-
Is there a degree?
I don't,
No, it's gonna be-
no, there'd
what
be
I'm
fire
saying.
science, there would be management, there would be more of that. I mean, I would say something like what, a public administration kind of a position where you're having more of that, management. You could have quite a few different degrees that would have some type of a management level where you're gonna get the ability to be able to manage and supervise people.
Is there a
it's
school
a-
for fire
I don't
chiefs?
believe that there's a specific school that I'm aware
It's
of.
gonna be in the sciences.
It's
is what
gonna
you're
be in the
get.
fire, you're gonna wanna have somebody, and the job description does reflect that. It does say that
Yes.
you're going, that it should be related in the fire side of it, whether it be a 2-year or a 4-year degree.
Sure.
So you're still gonna ask for specificity in the
training,
fire
in the field.
science side of that. And you're gonna want the experience too, where you're gonna
Regardless
wanna
of
be able
where
to
they come
have.
from.
Yeah, because I believe if I recall, and I'm not looking at the job description on the top of my head, but I think it was 5 years of experience, supervisory experience that was also required. So there are some things that are set up and established within there that will go beyond just that general degree. This is a great discussion, and I'm very happy that we're having this, to be honest with you, because there's a lot of different directions that you could go with it. And I see all viewpoints on this, and so I appreciate the conversation and the dialogue.
MGT did not feel that this was gonna hinder us.
They recommended the 4-year degree. I'm just telling, because they felt that that's what it was gonna take for a person to do that job. And for them, they wanna weed out those that aren't, that they don't wanna have that that don't feel like they meet that. So they would prefer to get those out, and they would rather bring a
Makes
stronger
their-
pool
Makes
because,
their job easier.
true.
Well, just to
That's what it
clarify,
does.
I'm fine with it being 4 years. I wanted to have that discussion
Yeah.
because I don't want to cut us short of, especially if there are some local applicants who that might be the difference of getting them here to be able to, I mean, can't we continue their education? Can't we?
Could.
Just like we do with some of the other,
You can, but we do have parameters within, certain job levels that you're going to, that you do need that require different levels of education. I mean, I do believe that as I mentioned before, we're at a pivotal point in this department, and there's going to need to be a lot of focus on that. So that education would be very helpful for somebody to be able to come into that role and knowing that. I'm not going to lie with that. I think that's easier when you're at that. Yes, you may have 2 years of general, but you're building off of that. And then if you have that on top of the experience, you're getting a higher caliber of a candidate. But I get, it comes with a cost as well.
Yeah, we have
And
to
so
pay
I
for
think
it.
you have to look at that. But if you're looking at the cost, then you also have to look at what the cost of, all of the options that we have in the fire department are too. If you're basing this off of what these two differences are between these, I wouldn't even go there. You really need to base it off of, because that's minor compared to what the costs we're looking at in fire. What you really need to do is you need to get the best person in here to do the job. That's the end of I mean, really, don't look at the difference between 99 and 106. That's $7,000 starting. And then you have 142 to 133. We're talking $7,000 between the bottom and the top. So this should not be a dollar amount. It should really be based off of trying to get the best person in here to do the job. And it's going to take the right person to do that. And so yes, if you found the right person that has, a 2-year with a lot of experience, that happens. Not very often, but you could. Do you open up your pool? Maybe. You also might bring a lot of other candidates that you're not really going to want to see. We've had these positions before, and we haven't necessarily always been happy with the candidate pool that we come, so making and putting ourselves and positioning ourselves the best way that we can to move this forward is important. So I think if you're making that decision, don't make it off of these dollar amounts, because it's very minor in comparison to what we're talking about.
But in the same respect, they're not managing a full-time department.
They are not managing a full-time department, I don't disagree, but you're also having to be making decisions about how do you service a city of almost 10,000 people, and those are some big decisions to be made. And, we may end up in a situation at some point where we may have some full-time staff. I don't know. We got to convince ourselves of that, and that person with that knowledge and expertise is going to be helpful to be able to make that decision for us.
Well, we
Not
also
for
have
us,
to-
but with us, or help us.
We also have to focus on building the fire department back up. We've got to develop relationships with business. We have to have a plan of how we're going to do that, how we're going to approach that. Because the biggest problem with this fire department, since I started 13 years ago, was businesses not approving or not allowing their workers to get off to go fight a fire. Well, they're paying them also out of their own pocket.
Right.
So this is a very technical position that's going to be really important if we're going to get rid of this contract with the fire department in St. Cloud at some point. We need somebody who can actually build this department and develop those relationships.
So you're saying that person's going to be better at it than one with a 4-year degree?
Well, you
They're
have
gonna
to
have
speak
more
in the microphone.
experience.
I can't hear you.
He said that you feel that somebody with a 4-year degree would be better at doing that.
Absolutely. We have the specificity. They can talk about details, they can talk about needs, and they understand how to plan.
I think we're short in the pool, but
See, I still think the vast majority of the benefit for this position will be on the job experience. I don't think 2 more years of college when they were 19 and 20 is going to be beneficial when they're 35, 40 years old. I can't tell you much I learned in college, but most I've learned in this point in my life has nothing to do with it.
yeah.
So
It
we're at
creates a
point now-
foundation. Well, you already have
It's already been approved. right?
yes,
It's
the,
done.
well,
just
what's
part of
been
it.
approved has been, you were moving it to the four-year degree.
Correct.
What happened though is that the job description that was presented to you when you approved that change in that, which I think was, I'm not, it might have been, Sarah might not have voted in favor of it, I think if I, is that I had to bring back the job description to show you, the changes and the impact that had to making that change. So you have the four-year degree approved, but you gotta approve the job description
That goes along.
that goes along with that. So we don't have a job description approved at this particular
I'll
point.
make a motion to approve the job description with the bachelor's degree.
All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Yep.
All right.
What did it, is it 3-2?
3-2.
Okay. Good discussion. Well, now we'll see. I mean, I think that, I do think education matters, and coming from somebody that has done that, but I also agree that your experience makes a whole different, your academia experience versus your
So-
real-life experience changes.
They will search as long as it takes to bring us candidates, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
The worst we'd have to do now is reject them all and go back to a 2-year degree.
Yep, there you go.
And that is true. I mean, that is
Yeah.
a very good point.
We'll just have
But-
to see what happens.
Yeah,
We'll just move forward.
right.
All right, so then we'll move on. Does anybody want to approve the bills?
I'll move to pay the bills.
Do we have a second? We have a motion and a second to approve paying the bills. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Anybody else have any updates?
No.
Then I need a motion to close the meeting
You
So
don't,
moved.
just close it.
and a second. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
I don't know.
Opposed?
Whoever you want.
All right. We're done at 7:52.
Yeah. It's a good discussion. It really is. And